Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and I want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers. And if you're seeing this video for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe. We are doing this style today, so let's get straight into the video. Okay, so this is how we'll be folding the dress. First of all, we'll fold it in a square form, then in a triangular form. And it depends on how full you want it to be. I do not want it to be too full, so I'll be leaving it like this. But if you want it too full, you could fold it fold it more, make your triangular bigger, but I just want mine to be this way. So we're going to be starting. First of all, we'll be checking for the length of if the length is enough. So what my length of my dress is 37, and I have up to 40, which I feel it to be okay. I'll be checking the other side also to check if it's going to be enough. So I have about 48 thereabouts, so that should be enough. So guys, so first of all, my shoulder that I'll be working with is 15. So 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So I'll be finding where 7.5, I can locate 7.5, where 7.5 will be enough, including seam allowance. So apparently this is 8.5, which is all enough. So I have 7.5 plus 1 seam extra, which is okay. So I'll be taking my starting point from there. So this is now my starting point. So from the starting point, I'll be checking if I have my length of the dress, and my length of dress is actually 37. So I'll be checking if I have up to 37 and seam allowance. So from this side I have enough, so I'll be checking the other side. The other side I also have enough. So now that is okay for me to work with. So we're coming back to the starting point. So we're taking our shoulder from there. So the shoulder is 7.5, so I'll be marking my shoulder, which is 7.5. First of all, I'll be taking the neck points. My neck point here is 4.4, but we're taking 3.5 because we're working directly on the fabric, and 2 inches depth, but we're taking 1.5. So by the time we're done sewing it with ½ inch, it automatically becomes 2. So I'll make my curve now. Okay, the next thing now is to check my bust point. My bust point I'm working is 10 inches for this particular person. So I'll be marking 10 inches all the way. Then I'll now check for my bust, which if that place is going to accommodate my bust, and of course it actually did. So I've marked my 9.5 inches. Now I'm going to be checking my shoulder now. Yes, I'm marking 7.5 inches, which is half of my shoulder, and the other is going to be my seam allowance. So I'm going to be taking my shoulder slope, which is 1 inches, and I'm connecting it to my neck point. So from the 1 inches, I'm taking my armhole. My armhole is 8 inches. Now I'll be rolling to my armhole to form my armhole curve. Okay, now I'm checking the bust point to be sure. Now I've checked, and that is the bust point. So I'm going to be marking my bust point. But actually for this style, I do not actually need the bust point, because I'm going to be taking from the shoulder, from the armhole. I'll be connecting from the armhole, so I really do not need my bust point. So now I just want to reconfirm that I have enough length of sleeve. So my length of dress is actually 37, so I'm marking my length of dress there, which is fabric fold, to be sure that it's accurate, so that by the time I also recheck from my from the starting point where the shoulder line is, I just want to be sure that it is accurate enough, and that is what I'm just doing right now. So I'm checking from the shoulder line again, that's the starting point, just to be sure that I have it corresponds properly. Okay guys, so I'm rolling it right now. I've just rolled it, just connecting all my lines together. Now from the armhole, I'll be connecting straight down, because I'm taking from the armhole, so I don't need the bust, but I don't need the under bust. I'm just connecting straight from the armhole straight down to the length of dress. Okay guys, so now I'm taking my front, I'll be taking the front measurements and front inches, although I just want to take the standard measurement for the neck point, which is 3 by 3, then which will be altered later. So this the front neckline will actually be altered. It's just to have a guideline. That is why I just did 3 by 3. Now we're going to be cutting it, but remember we're cutting from the back because the front is going to be altered. So what we're doing is actually cutting from the back. And remember your half-inch cutting the back neckline. Now I'm just going to be cutting it out because I'm dealing with the back first. Now I'm going to be cutting out my shoulder. Remember the half-inch shoulder seam allowance, so I'll be adding the half-inch seam allowance now. Do not forget your seam allowance for the shoulder. Okay guys, I did not want to cut my armhole now, so I'll just make a notch to identify that as the armhole, which I'll be doing later after all the whole alteration. Okay, right now we have the back and the front together. Don't forget to notch because we need the center line notching, so don't forget to notch now, and also don't forget to notch the upper part because you will need all this later. Now we have the front and the back together. So right now I'll be taking now away the back. I'll be taking away one of the one in the middle. That will be for the back. Now we're going to be altering the front. Now what I'll remember that we are replacing this part with a fabric. So since I'm replacing with the fabric, I'll be taking away what I want to be replacing with the fabric. What I have to replace with the fabric is 2 inches, but I'll be taking away 1.5, then half inch for my seam allowance. So this is the neck point. My neck depth for the front is actually 8.5. So now that is what I'll be taking. Then if you look at the shape of it's not exactly V there because it's a scrub neckline. So for that I'll be marking half an inch or 0.75. So by the time I finish sewing it, I'll be having 2. So I'm marking 0.75 on the full. By the time I finish sewing, I'll be having 2. So now I'm connecting to the 0.75. Now remember that my neck depth is actually 8.5. Now the way I will cut it, I won't cut it sharp so that you see the way I cut it. By the time I open up, you will see what it now. You can see the shape that we're having. So by the time we finish sewing it, you will have the okay, this is the back right now. So I don't want to follow exactly what we have in the picture. So this is the back. I'm just doing the keyhole. I'm going to be piping. Now this is the front. I've actually cut my fabric, which is for 2 inches, but this is 2.5. So 2.5 is including my seam allowance. That is 2 inches plus half an inch seam allowance. Remember that this is what we cut out from the front, so we are replacing it with the black one. Now I'm just going to be placing it like this. You have to place it front facing front, so by the time you finish sewing it, you'll be having something like this. Remember to add an extra 1.5 inch to your length of whatever you're cutting, so that you have extra to cut off when you're done. Now I'm just creating half an inch around there. That is where my sewing is going to be stopping, so you have to have make your half an inch line so that you will not miss it, which is very, very important. Now this is it. I have sewn it. Now going to the back, we're going to be notching the back. Remember, you're only notching the fabric, the Ankara fabric. You're not notching the collar, only the Ankara fabric. And you're just going to be notching, and you're going to be stopping on that half inch line. That's why I said the half inch is very, very important, the line that you've created. So you're just going to notch to the half inch line. Remember, you're notching only the Ankara fabric. Okay guys, this is it. So what I do now, what I've just done now, I've notched it. So now you're going to be tucking it in. Now you tuck the one at the back in, and you're not going to be tucking the one at the front inwards. Just like this. You just take your time and tuck it in. You have to be patient around there. So this is what I have right now. Now I have pinned that place. That part I've pinned is my 8.5 neck point that I said that is how deep I want my navy neck to be. So that part is where I've pinned for my neck depth. Now going to the back, you will see that after ironing, there is a line that will be appearing at the back of your fabric. We're going to be sewing following that line, stopping at every notch. Okay guys, let's do the pocket right now. So to create the pocket, you just have to place your hand there. First of all, we're going to be marking 7 inches. Now you place your hand as how deep you want it, then you just make a curve. It's a freehand cutting style, so it's just if you are going for someone bigger, you can make like 7 inches to 7.5. But you're doing for someone slimmer, you can do about 6 inches. So remember, when you're making the curve, remember your seam allowance. You're stopping at that line that I've just created, just like that. Then we cut it out. So we're going to be cutting 4 pieces of this. Now we're going to be placing it on the fabric. Remember, when you were doing, there's a notch that I made. The notch is 1 inch below your actual waistline. That is where you place your pocket, 1 inch below your actual waistline. So now we're going to be placing the pocket. You're going to be placing front facing front. That will be front facing front. So by the time you finish sewing it, the front will be inwards. Now when you are placing the pockets, make sure you have about placing your pocket half an inch away from your notch, so that by the time you're sewing it, you will have a seam allowance to work with, not exactly at your notch. Place half an inch before your notch, so that by the time your sewing will now stop at the notch, leaving you with that half inch seam allowance. Now also place it at the other side of the that's the back side also. Remember, before doing this pocket, you must have joined the back and the front together, and you must have shaped your dress. That is the line that is running through. So that line will help you serve as a guideline while putting your pocket. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to be sewing on that line where the pocket runs through. First of all, we're going to be sewing from the line where the pocket runs through. Then that is what I have sewn right now. You can see that I've sewn for the back and the front. So what I'll be doing right now is I'm going to now fold shape my clothes with the line that I've sewn. I will stop at where the notch is, then I'll go curve to the other side, which is also the half inch that is created for the pocket, and I'll run it down straight down to the end of the dress. If you like, you can also do a notch for your dress before shaping it down. I'm sorry, you can do a top stitching, not notch, top stitching if you like. But if you don't want to top stitch, you can actually just iron it properly. Now I've done the pockets. You can see that I've done the pocket, and you can see this person, yes, that is it. That's just the pocket, so it's looking flat and neat. So guys, I'm just going to be taking the round measurement of the hem of the dress. I'm just going to be taking the measurement round. So what I have is 106, so that I'll be able to cut the net. Now I've also folded my net in a triangular form, just like the way I folded the Ankara. I've actually folded my net too. Now on the net, we're going to be tracing where it's going to be giving us 106. So what you just do is 106 divided by 4, whatever you have. Now you begin to look for where it will give you that the whatever you've gotten. Like now I have about, I think, 26, 24, or 20, 26, I think. That's what I have. So now I'm going to be checking if this is enough. Obviously is enough. So now if you multiply it by 4, you find that you have the circumference of the Ankara, the hem of the Ankara dress. Now from that place, I'm going to be tracing downward, which is 17. That is what I need for the lace, which is 17. That is the remaining part for the full length of the dress. Remember that the Ankara was actually 37, but the full length of dress is 53. So the remaining is what this net is for. So I'm now going to be measuring 17. I'm now going to be measuring 17 all the way including my seam allowance. So guys, now I will be cutting it out. And now I'm going to be cutting the upper part also. Remember that to add your half seam allowance, so that is why I'm cutting the half seam allowance. Now the upper part, I'll be keeping it properly because I'll be using it for the sleeve. Okay guys, I'll just be showing you how to join this clothes. There's the hemming. I've already locked my dress. So now I'll be folding the lace by half, placing the half-inch on the Ankara neatly. Once you have to lock it so that it will be easy for you to work with, and people will not be able to see the fabric fraying. So now I'm going to be sewing on it. Remember that I folded my half inch, so I'm going to be sewing on it. Now that is what I have. That's the outcome. You can see how it looks like. My people might really not even see the fabric. No, I'm using the other part that I kept properly. I'll be using it for the sleeve. So all I need to do is just to place the armhole of the Ankara on the lace. So now what I'll be doing, so from the starting point, I'll be looking for my cap height. You know how to get a cap height. Obviously, it is your bust divided by 12. So I'll be checking for the cap height of this particular person. That is the cap height. So from the cap height now, I'll be checking if I have up to 4.5. It depends on the client. Some is 4, some is 4.5. But I'll be checking. But now I have up to 4.5. But I'm going to be making it 5 because of the seam allowance. Now that I have where my cap height is, I'll replace the fabric on it again, but this time I'll be placing it on the cap, on the where I've marked for the cap height. Now I'm going to retake my armhole. Remember that this is just a freehand way of cutting this particular sleeve. It's not really something tedious, it's just a freehand that you can work with. So I'll be taking it that way, then I'll be remaining my seam allowance. Make sure I have your to remember your seam allowance where you'll be sewing it. So what I need to do now is to blend it to the starting point of the sleeve. I just blend it. Remember that I said it's just a freehand pattern, so I'm just going to be blending it to perfectly. Now I have to check if I have up to what my armhole curve is, and yes, I have enough, and I have enough seam allowance. So now I'm just going to cut it out. So guys, I've cut it out. This is the two sleeves. I've cut them out, so now I'm going to place them on fast. So this is the final look of the dress, and this is the outcome. It's actually a beautiful dress. All you need to do is to give it a trial, and I'm sure it will come out fine. So guys, if you have enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, don't forget to drop a like, don't forget to share, and do not forget to come back again. For those that have not subscribed, please do subscribe, and come back again for more tutorials. Thank you guys for watching, and stay blessed.